Late Night Grin. Also, what does that name mean?
Yes, indeed, folks. Another Friday, another Late Night Grin. The flagship is back with some Fed 4 content going on here, right? It's been just under a month, maybe month. I don't know. I can't remember the date of WrestleMania, but WrestleMania, it feels like a lifetime ago. I promise it didn't happen that long ago.
It's 4 weeks.
Time. Yeah, it's these wrestling calendars move different to everything else. I'm telling you, but we're here nonetheless. Backlash is. Man, we're not far away now, right? We're like 15 hours away from Backlash, so short turnaround on this one. Of course, Backlash taking place in France, as did SmackDown tonight, and I think it's fair to say they're pretty excited about it. Locally,
I was stunned when I was like going through Twitter, and all of a sudden Joe watched SmackDown like 8 hours ago. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was so confusing to our friend Alex. He thought I was there. He thought I was in Gorilla with a headset on. Yeah, for whatever reason, the current broadcaster over here for WWE, when they're in Europe, like they did it for the London show last year for SmackDown, they just show it live. It makes sense, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know there's some spoilers. Let's be real. What could I have really spoiled on tonight's show? I mean, it's a road too, that as it should be. It's SmackDown, right? It's fine. But it certainly was an atmosphere, and I'm excited to talk about Backlash. I got to say I'm pretty fired up, honestly. That doesn't mean it's a perfect show. It's a 5-match show. It has flaws, which I'm certainly going to get into. But there's a match on this that's really captured my imagination. So I'm thrilled to be here. Expert panel, as always. Bobby Two Shoes. How are you tonight, mate?
I'm doing well. Nice to be back. Sorry that I missed Grin Grappler. Had a couple things pop up, but we're good now. Excited for Backlash. Not going to get to see it live because I have to drive back to St. Louis tomorrow, but that just means I'll get through it even quicker, which will actually be really nice because just right through the 5 matches and we're done. Don't have to worry. Actually, they did a good job with all the filler at WrestleMania, though. I think it actually made sense where they kind of tried to tie it into the match for once, but still, it'll be nice to fast forward through all that. But I'm excited.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm not sure that Mania pacing will follow us here to Backlash.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be. I think this is one to get some snacks. Get some things prepared to do in between the matches. Maybe some laundry. I don't know. I might take a walk. I don't know. We'll see.
Get a nap.
Yeah, man. It depends what match is up next, I suppose. Nonetheless, Chris, back on the flagship back here at LNG. How are you, mate?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back. Real quick, before we get started here, we can't start a Fed show without giving all glory to Triple H. So my our son is heavy into monster trucks. He's like 3.5. So my wife has been on all these Facebook groups and stuff buying, secondhand monster trucks.
God bless.
She got a whole box shipped in today, and one of them was a Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Oh my God! And it has that logo too.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, that's spectacular, honestly.
The thing about 5 years right there.
I find Triple H to be very sympathetic because they keep making him go out and do his entrance, and he wants to sit down and watch the show with his friends. It's terrible. Bob, have you seen it? The way they keep, come on, Paul, do your entrance again. He doesn't want to do it.
He doesn't want to be out there.
He hates it. He hates it. He gets stage fright. It's a horrible thing, but that's the pressures of the business. Oracle's similar with the Late Night Grin, right? Oracle, it's like, but anyway, how are you tonight, mate?
I'm good. I'm about halfway through sitting ringside now.
My God, you're sprinting through that thing. God bless.
Oh yeah. Halfway before if you don't include bonus materials, I was definitely cheating my way through looking through some of the bonus materials last night. Won't lie, but I'm well. About a week ago, I said this is the worst looking WWF card in 5 years. I'm not sure if I feel quite the same. But I mean, it's a B pay-per-view. I'm more concerned about the pacing, man. Just I miss when it was like, Judgment Day, it'd be like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we'd have like 9 matches. Not 3.5 hours with 5 matches. But I just want to get all my negative bullshit out the way. But
at least it's a 1 o'clock start time for us, though. Like it's a lot different starting at 1 o'clock than it is starting at 8 o'clock.
That's very true.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely true. And it's way better on a Saturday too.
Yes.
It's just, Joe and I had this discussion before about the issues with Elimination Chamber, which is probably the worst show I've ever seen. Granted, Joe's situation was a lot different because he's in London, England. It came on at a regular time for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not like a regular time, but like late morning. Whereas like for us, it was a 5 a.m. And I got up and watched it. It was stupid, whatever. People were, you shouldn't have gone up and watched it. Well, listen, it's not. That was dumb, but you want to watch wrestling live, especially pay-per-views, and when they're 3.5, 4 hours long with 4 matches, it gets a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
You can only enjoy so many Snickers bars,
Indeed, yes. I love we're like 7 minutes in and Oracle has began to fire back at the criticisms of his Elimination Chamber viewing. That's a strong start, dude. Luckily, I have some stuff up my sleeve also. I have a format tonight, folks, because there's 5 matches to preview and many of them are like paper thin. Probably like 3 or 4 of them. So I have some stuff up my sleeve. Before we get to that, though, please do like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. It only took us a decade. We're at like 980 something. Go help us out on that front. We're fired up and thrilled to be here. Wherever you're watching, we hope you're having a great Friday night. All right. Because we have time to play with tonight, I wanted to start. I didn't want to waste. I wanted to get straight to it, cut through the bullshit, and follow up properly on WrestleMania and the big story kind of WrestleMania. So for that reason, Bob.
Yep.
I was watching SmackDown tonight, and the Final Testament came out.
Yeah.
And I got up and I started whacking the side of my TV because I thought it broke the speaker. Because I assumed they got such a big pop that it exploded. Like I couldn't hear anything.
Well,
and then I realized the match. Yes, mate. What was that? Good.
Well, the thing is, it was a SmackDown show. They're on Raw now, so the SmackDown crowd doesn't take to them anymore. They got drafted to Raw. So.
That's a good
awesome answer.
That's a good point. It's like a brand loyalty thing, like they've left the team.
Exactly.
Right. I can see that actually. Okay, that's fair. Are you still bullish on their staying power? I believe was the phrase you used. Is that still a thing you believe in?
Not as much, especially not on Raw. There's actual tag teams on Raw, so that's going to be tough. And also, just Karrion Kross sucks, man. He's just they got nothing there. They've tried 3 or 4 times, and there's just nothing there.
Our friend Tape Machines, he's inexplicably committed to reviewing the weekly TV for the Big Two, and he declared in tonight's SmackDown review that he believes Hunter may be trending towards a record. Yeah, indeed. He said that Hunter may be trending towards a record in terms of pushing a guy because it pops him. So we'll see. I'm going to continue to kind of circle back on that one, Bob. I think it's important for the audience that we continue to track how the Final Testament are doing. So I will say, I thought they had a pretty good match tonight, the Authors of Pain.
They did.
To be fair. So that's good. Is that a siren of some kind going off? Is there an ambulance match taking place? Bobby, is everything okay?
I think it was a washing machine or something. I do have to go move my clothes over. But
nowhere near as exciting. Okay. All right. Tend to that whenever you can. Okay, we're fine. All right.
That's what he'll be doing in between Jay and Damian and
I thought Bob was getting arrested on the air again. I said, God, it's only been 2 weeks since the last time. There you go, Bob. Now Bob's going to go tend to his fucking washing machine at Friday night. He's joining us on the road, being a good team player, and I have to be an arsehole. Anyway, let's talk about wrestling, I guess. I want to get a read on Post-Mania vibes. Chris, you were in the building for both nights of WrestleMania.
I was.
Night 2, everyone agrees, was a complete triumph. It was a very special weekend event.
Honestly,
it's been a month. Go for it.
Honestly, night 2 WrestleMania was like, I don't think I'll ever top that as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I believe that. That was wild. Like, watch, even as someone who wasn't super invested and obviously wasn't there, that was like transcendent. So I completely believe it. It's been a month. I'm intrigued by everyone's post-Mania vibes because there can be a bit of a hangover sometimes, right? Where it's kind of like, for the reason you just said of how do you top that, you have to reset sort of. So, Chris, I'll start with you. Where are you at in terms of your interest levels coming out of Mania? We've had a month now. Where do you currently stand?
Well, I just got out of the parking lot like last week, so I haven't seen a whole lot. But no, it's been fine. I think the first week or so things are still going pretty good. I was really bummed I wasn't able to make it to the SmackDown in Detroit right after Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was a pretty good show with the Bloodline stuff and everything. And then they kind of, the draft happened and it was what it was.
Yep.
But I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow and just kind of see the big stories and stuff, where exactly they try and take these things. Like, when does Drew, obviously they got to wait for both guys to be healthy, but when does Drew Punk happen? Do they really try and force this, all the way out to SummerSlam? I don't think they can, but maybe they can. Where, I'm loving seeing this Bloodline story progress. Like, I feel vindicated in saying what I've been saying for a year, that like this thing would be just as, if not more interesting once Roman lost the title. And here we are, and it's way more interesting than it was the last 6 months. So yeah, I'm still, obviously it doesn't feel like it's hot, but it always, after Mania, there's always like this cool down that happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's also, this current period is an example of like why it's pivotal that the audience trusts the direction, right? In that, like, I think there's a much more willingness right now to say, let's see where things are going. Let's let everything take a deep breath, exhale, and start over. Because I think they've earned people's trust right now in that regard, So that's huge. I think people are a lot less quick to pull the trigger on, they've squandered this or they've messed up that, because it's like they've stuck the landing before. We're resetting, and I think things are going to build up again over the summer. So it's an interesting time. Oracle, fascinated where you stand on this. Your interest levels a month removed from the grandest stage and all that good stuff.
Basically the same two things that Chris is interested in. I mean, the Drew Punk stuff has been great, but I do wonder how long they can draw it out. And then the Bloodline stuff is really awesome, and they've managed to make it more interesting for me than it has in literally a year. I mean, like, well, since I guess the first Bloodline Civil War match, because even the build, was there flyover?
Is that a plane?
even the build to Tribal Combat was not really my thing. But yeah, it's the best the Bloodline's been in a very long time, and the whole thing's.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to just push through, I'm trying to push through.
It was the combination of the sound, and then I looked at Bob, and
I'm used to like.
I'm not
background. I mean, like,
he's trying. Look, this just be Bobby. Your voice sounds wonderful. Just unmute when you got the possession. All right, that'll be perfect. We're glad to have you. But it was the combination of the sound, and I looked at Bob, and he was typing furiously, and he was. It was quite threatening. It was daunting even. I don't know, but you was the Bloodline thing. I agree. I like it too, Oracle.
Yeah. It's good. What impresses me most is that, I mean, obviously Roman was always over even as a heel, but immediately we're like doing the "We Want Roman" chants, right? When like a week after Tama debuted, and it's like they're already where they need to be in terms of where the fans are, and where and how the fans are reacting.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they have more stuff up their sleeve. So I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Other than that,
but this is a good call. King of the Ring coming up. That should be exciting, right? I guess.
Yeah. I think they've got Gunther and LA Knight announced for that. I think Gunther should win it and probably will win it.
Yeah, I agree.
And of course, we'll cover that in a few weeks. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, in terms of the draft, I also feel the same way Chris does. I mean, it happened.
Yep.
I'll just briefly say that when you have a draft, you should do move to a new place and not have like 20 draft picks and 13 people going to the same place. It doesn't make any sense to do it that way. But
the whole thing, and so Matt and I on our show that came out today. Well, actually, it was more me. He just kind of sat and listened. Like I had, and it's not an entirely unique idea. I've heard other places, but I laid out how how to quote unquote fix the draft, because if you move too many people, then everybody's just still on the same shows, just on a different night. It's the same rosters, just switch to a different night. So the whole thing needs to be like, I like the presentation of it. I like what they try to do as far as making it quote unquote real sports. But in theory it's great. In practice it's very flawed. And I think there's some things that they need to do to tweak, not just that, but the way they handle the rosters throughout the entire year.
Agreed. Yeah.
So,
because it's silly, right? It's like, as a GM, I'm going to spend 3 months trying to sign a wrestler, and then in 4 months I can just get them with pick 6. And it's like, I think my big pitch has always been a trade deadline, which, again, that's not just like, it's not a Joe Holbert. Everyone said it, right?
Just kind of, real quickly, concisely.
We got a lot of time, Chris. You're good. Go for it.
Right. So my thing was the draft itself should be just NXT. They should just be drafting NXT talent. And the deal is you can, draft however many, make it 10 picks for each show. And you can draft anybody. And whoever you draft doesn't necessarily have to be on the main shows right away. It can almost be like a baseball or hockey system where they're developmental prospects. And you can call them up, for tryout or prove it matches, throughout the year. But whenever the draft is, say it was this week, you have a year basically to call these people up full time. And if you do, then they're on your roster. If not, then they go back in the pool for the next draft.
Yeah.
And as far as everything else, like, I think the month or so after Mania should be a free movement period between and that's where you can really have, I liked what they did with like Braun Breaker and Jade with both GMs.
I do too.
To the talent. So you can have that going for a whole month, basically after Mania. The rosters kind of lock around the time that they are now, right after the next pay-per-view after Mania. And then, like you said, have a trade deadline. So that way you can, because I don't care so much about, Raw people showing up on SmackDown. I care that they make it make sense. So just have, say, this week we got to, when SmackDown moves to USA, that first show, they're going to load it up. Say you didn't work out a tally exchange with Raw, so Raw talent can show up on the show. It's not that hard.
I agree.
And then have it, like you said, have a trade deadline of either January 1st or the Rumble or somewhere in there. And then that way all your rosters are locked into the Mania season. And then you start all over.
I think you could promote a trade, like the trade deadline episode could be exciting, because the way you'd put it over is both GMs are scrambling to make deals. Anyone could show up tonight. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who we're losing, who's going to... I think there's ways to do this. I like the NXT point because I think it would give it more juice when a guy like Braun he's the number 1 draft pick and he goes up and gets the SmackDown cap or whatever. I think that's more interesting than 18-time world champion is the 7th draft pick. Because that's the other problem is you have to like super work the order of the draft because of course you do. You can't actually just sincerely lay out your. I mean, in this year's draft, they did a thing where like AJ went like 4th round or something like that, and it's like, isn't he working for the belt next week? Like, isn't that like a priority? It's just. And again, I get it, it's wrestling, but the point we're making here is if you just take that extra step and make it make a little more sense, it helps everything, right? And it allows us to get more invested in who Nick Aldis is trying to sign and who everyone else is trying to get. So I agree. It's a flawed. This year, it honestly felt like they didn't fully believe in doing it. They just did it because it's a thing we do and it's a good TV hook, right? So
and before the draft, last point before I let someone else talk. Before the draft, I really thought when they said that the champions were protected, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And then afterwards, I'm like, that really took a lot of juice out of the whole thing, is not having the champions available to be drafted. So
yeah, I agree. Bob, you're a sports expert. What do you make of the draft? Do you think it fucking sucks or not?
I mean, it's not great. Like it's not really a draft because like 80% of the roster just kind of stays the same. And I don't know, like there was something to the first one they did, in 2002, just because it was kind of starting from scratch, and even 2004 they kind of just did the lottery. But even that was cool. Like I don't know, I don't really like the way they do it. Like I don't know if the format's tired or if it's bad. Or they just try something else where it's like one person per show per week for a month, like they did in 2005. But it's hard too when you don't stick to the brand split though, because it doesn't feel as important.
So is it fair to say that them bringing in Bubba Ray Dudley didn't sway you on this?
Yeah, no, not really.
Are you sure? All right, fair enough.
Not quite.
You say so. Friend hates to resubscribe. He's moved for 13 whole months on the Twitch gimmick, and his caption with this was I'm not even going to try it. It's very late, but that wah sound that happens in AJ Styles and Solo Sikoa's theme. I believe it's a signature of the gentleman.
Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum.
It's so funny. It's so funny. The new AJ theme pushes it close in terms of being funny, to be fair. I don't know. Well, these are the games we play. All right.
You don't want none.
It's the craziest one is the Bayley theme. That is an insane. I don't know how we're allowing that to even. Someone needs to step in on that.
Oh, I've decided the new Nia Jax theme is way better than the original one.
You've decided. Now, when you say you've decided, was this something you really? It sounds like you pondered this for a while. Have you been comparing them? Yeah. All right. I haven't studied this. We'll circle back next time we do the Grin.
The new Nia Jax is better than the old Nia Jax.
There you go. There you go.
It makes sense.
It works. There you go. All right, folks. I guess we should begin to look ahead to the Backlash. That's indeed what we're supposed to be doing here, I'm told. Again, if you're enjoying the show, please do like the video, subscribe, all that whole shit I said earlier. All right. One of the big talking points with this show is the 5-match card. Right. It's been a big talking point. Lord Oracle and I have discussed it, and we kind of got into it a little bit there at the start, but I guess just generally speaking, how much of a factor is that in your excitement as we sit here 15 hours before showtime? Oracle, I'll start with you because I think you're probably the person on the panel who feels most strongly about it. It's an issue for you, right? Fair to say?
It is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I want my mid-card matches that go 8 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah. Give some depth to the show, some variety.
Yeah.
I get it.
I get it completely. It's not, the 2000s or, before anymore. But, I mean, geez, I miss it.
Yeah. I think it's funny to me in the late 2010s when they went back to doing the both brands shows, like 2018, they went to those perverse, like 12-match cards, right?
That was too much. That was too much. 2018, 2019, really like late 2017, 18, 19.
Was excessive.
Those late network years before the Peacock switch were really excessive. Yeah. There were B shows. Remember, there were B shows that were going 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
With like 12 matches.
Oh, it was common. Yeah, Backlash 2018 is still happening. Still happening. Joe's still got a hold on Roman. Still, he won't let go.
That nerve hold? Did he have like a nerve hold?
Oh my god!
Didn't you have him in like the?
That's one of the biggest crimes Michael Hayes ever committed, and think of the ground that covers. He, I know nothing, folks. That was just me talking here on a podcast. Now, I just think 6-7 matches, even. You know, I don't need 10-match cards. I think we both would be happy with that.
When Hunter first took over, it was like 6 or 7 matches, and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was.
I'm reminded
4
of
5 matches.
What was the show last year that had the LA Cena tag? Which one was that?
Fastlane.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a great example of a
Cody
show.
and Jey winning the tag belts against Priest and Balor.
Right.
That
was great.
Steph and Shin was the main, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, Seth and Shin was the main of. Was it the main of that show? It was definitely the main of.
It was both, I think.
Oh, it was both Payback and because Payback was really good, except for the Seth and Shin match.
Two-pay program. That one stood out to me in terms of every match was stretched to its limit because of the LA Cena took like a 20-minute heat segment in that tag. You know, it's like it was a lot. And I worry about when I look at this show in terms of like Jey and Damian. How long does that need to be? How thin are they going to stretch the Bloodline tag? Like these are the things that do slightly concern me, even as someone who's excited to see the show. So I do think it's a real factor. Bob, where do you stand on length of pay-per-view cards at this point? Because again, we have similar to 2018, like AEW and WWE are two extremes now, right? They're on like opposite ends of the spectrum. So where do you stand?
Yeah, I think 5 matches for 3.5 hours, 4 hours is it's not enough. You know, they did it with TakeOver, and it worked to varying degrees there, but it usually came at the expense of a just really long main event. Instead, now it's just every match is 15 or 20 minutes, and it just, you know, you could add a couple more matches, and maybe you don't need it for, you know, a smaller show like this where, you know, the crowd's going to be hot no matter what, but then, you know, this show's got to be 3 hours or whatever then too.
It's the TakeOver comparison is complex because if matches were on TakeOver, okay, the original TakeOver shows were not long. They were like 2 hours long.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. Once they became supercards, it was like an unwritten rule that if the match was on TakeOver, they thought it was going to be like a, you know, like a real humdinger. I don't think you could say necessarily that's carried over. So I don't think it works as a comparison. I think this show will be fine because, frankly, I think this crowd is going to, I think it raises the ceiling on everything on here. But I do think it's an interesting conversation. Chris, where do you stand on pay-per-view match cards and how many matches should be on there, so on and so forth?
A show like this, I 5 is not. It probably might be a little too low, but I'd rather have 5 than have, I don't know, 7 or 8, I guess.
Really?
So 5 or 6 for 5 or 6 for me is good enough. And I, you know, as much as the long breaks are annoying, if you're watching it live, at least it gives you time to breathe. You know,
That's true.
I get that. Yeah, no, I get that completely.
I do wish there were more, instead of ads or whatever. I wish there was more backstage segments to
content. Yeah.
To separate instead of like I said, ads or commercials for superstars or whatever. But
it's the Peacock deal. It's just a party thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Peacock deal. I just and in all honesty, this might be a cop out. I really won't know till after the show how I feel about it. You know,
it's case by case, basically.
It's case by case. Yeah,
it is.
No, I get that.
That's true. Yeah,
I get that.
I will say this, and I am the biggest complainant here, but 5-match card for a B show doesn't bother me that much. It's just that I don't want it to be 3.5 hours. I want it to be 2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's I think that's the thing we can all agree on, right? It's
now for SummerSlam or a Survivor. Well, I mean, I guess Survivor War Games maybe not, but like SummerSlam and Mania. You know, Mania is easy because it's 2 nights, but with SummerSlam, I want 8 or 9 matches on SummerSlam.
I think you'll get that too.
Not because I want everybody to get on the card, but because
it's SummerSlam.
It doesn't mean. I mean, it's a huge card. You know, they have a huge roster. Just
SummerSlam is actually.
I mean, there won't be people that that'll miss the show, but
it's probably the last show left that will have that many matches now because Mania's 2 nights.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty unique in that regard, right? Like, because Rumble and Survivor Series have gimmick matches that actively take away the need for a lot of matches. SummerSlam is just a wrestling card. So,
I wouldn't be surprised not to go off on too much of a tangent, I wouldn't be surprised if Rumble is the next one to get the 2-night treatment.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Honestly, I would be in favor of it because two rumbles in one night
Yeah.
is a lot. If
That's
you
fair.
have one Rumble one night and another Rumble,
that's a tough thing. I think that's a tough thing with War Games too. I think it's a really hard, because you can bookend the show, but the Rumble is a better example because I think we've seen at this point how hard it is to be the second Rumble. I think that's been pretty much proven.
War Games though, they just got to rein those in. Like those you can make. Those you can make under 45 minutes.
I'm sure it's true. I think there's evidence of that, Chris. But
the Rumbles.
There's evidence the 30 Rumbles years before, but
like the Rumbles are
they're an hour.
Built in. They're an hour. Like that's just what it is. So
I will say I actually did like the War Games matches last November.
I liked
I liked those.
I thought they were great.
And in some ways, the Randy thing kind of forced them to limit that one a little bit because he wasn't going to go in there and do a NXT takeover finish. He just wanted to RKOs, right, as he should. So, all right, there you go, folks. Half an hour of the show. All right, don't say I can't do this shit. All right, Backlash. One of the things we got most correct. Good English there by me. One of the things we nailed on WrestleMania was the Dame Priest cash in. We actually produced that shit. There was even talk about the Punk facial that they got. We actually nailed that completely.
Good job by us.
Yeah, we don't put ourselves over enough. That's famously a thing the Late Night Grin struggles with. So I'm glad we did that here. So with that in mind, let's start with Damian Priest first. Big title defense, of course. I saw him defend the world's title against Xavier Woods a couple weeks ago, but I don't think that's on the record books as of yet. So here he is, opposite the famed Yeet Man, Jey Uso, who is off his own WrestleMania moment, riding high. Triumphant win over Jimmy Uso. I don't know if you saw that one, Bob. They really tore it up.
Oh, yeah.
I think poor Jimmy did tear some things up. I don't think it was... Anyway, there's a lot of factors here. This one, I think if they go 12 minutes... If they go 12 minutes, I think Jey Uso is so over. I mean, he was the second most over guy on the whole damn show I saw a couple weeks ago. If he's so over, I think they go 12 minutes, they'll be fine. Because Priest is a sharper worker than Jimmy Uso. God bless you, Jimmy. I love you, but it is what it is. If they veer beyond that and try to have a proper world title match to prove a point, I think it's when we may see some issues emerge. So there's a lot to talk about here. I'm going to we'll throw it around and then I'll get into some of the details. Bobby, Jey Uso, Damian Priest, fired up?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, it is Priest's first title defense, and we really haven't seen him work much since Mania, except for the 6-man on Raw. I think is the only match he's had on TV. So yeah, I mean, it'll be cool. Like you said, I think, keep it short, maybe have it open the show. And, Jay's good enough to make it work. And Priest, he's kind of got his formula down at this point, and it works for him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That was very positive, wasn't it? The enthusiasm in his voice there. He said, "Yes, I am fired up, Joey Bing Bong." All right, I'm glad to hear it, Bobby. Chris, are you as fired up as Bob, who appears to be leaping out of his chair in excitement? Where do you stand on Jey Uso and Damian Priest?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the atmosphere for this match. I mean, I saw that video of him. I guess he must have had a dark match after SmackDown tonight. That video of that place going nuts for him, good for him. So I think the crowd is going to carry this one quite a ways. I think this, like a lot of these international, I think this show is going to go pretty chalk as far as the outcomes go.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing.
No.
That's not a criticism. So I expect Priest to win. I expect there to be some Judgment Day shenanigans. But yeah, like you said, if this is, I'll even give it I'll even go 15. If this is under 15, I think we'll be okay. If it goes over 15, I think we might be in trouble. But if the crowd's into it the whole time, then it will probably be okay.
I hope so. I would like for this to be good. I think Priest has actually come a long way. I'm not a huge fan. I think he's a long-term world champ, but not many guys are. I think he's improved a lot and been good on the main roster. So I'm pretty hopeful.
Are they slowly trying to turn him babyface? Is it like, because that's what it seems like to me with him getting.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I
mean,
with Martinez.
Yeah.
With the Judgment Day stuff.
His title win was kind of a babyface win in some ways, right? And how it was presented. So I don't think it's a big leap. And I think
so from being in the building, outside of Cody's win, obviously, Priest coming out for the cash-in was by far the most over thing.
It sounded thunderous.
Second night.
Yeah. That was very well done. It was almost like we booked it. It was very good. So yeah, Oracle. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess I don't think you're as excited about this.
Triple H for sending us that thank you DM about producing that match.
I want to make an entrance next time. I like making them. I'll make all of them if he wants me to. What if they hit the music and it's just me in a suit and I do the whole deal? I've got the haircut now. Anyway, Oracle, I'm going to guess you're not as excited about this match as...
Not really. I like Damian Priest well enough, especially as a character. I think sometimes he's really good in the ring, actually. Sometimes he's like really not even like terrible. He's just like sloppy and like kind of careless in there.
Yeah.
Not even like in a dangerous way necessarily, just like he's
kind of loose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like 70% of the roster now. So, now that they're doing such good business. But I don't know, man. I'm concerned about the length for this. Like, the crowd's going to be great. I mean, Jay's over. I mean, the entrances are going to be awesome. But, like, comes in there and, like, they start hitting the 20-minute mark or the 22-minute, 23-minute mark. It's going to become, I don't know, maybe not. I mean, with crowds like that, like, I mean, they're going to be loud. I don't know if they'll necessarily be invested, but they'll be loud. That's
right.
I'm trolling, but they'll definitely be into the match. It's just I wonder. You know what? Fuck it, I'll say it. If they go over 15, close to 20 or more, the crowd will still be loud, but they'll no longer be invested. They'll just be performative.
Right.
Because
15 is
because they'll have lost them in the ring. The crowd's going to be going to enjoy themselves no matter what, but they've got to keep this at a certain length for them to actually have the crowd instead of just
action needs to be up for this. I think they need to be really bringing it. So I think, are we all picking Damian Priest? Chris, I know you are.
Yes.
Bob, you picking Priest?
Yeah.
So we're all picking him, but do we think? I don't want to dismiss the chance of a Jey Uso title win here. I don't think it's going to happen. He is so over, unless we forget he is where the Drew McIntyre heel turn really starts in a lot of ways, right? Like in him coming over to Raw and all that stuff. I think it's very unlikely, especially because it isn't the main event of the show. I assume it's not the main event. I'd be stunned.
If it is, I think it's a red flag that he might be winning.
I honestly, I don't think it's impossible. And I know that sounds like dumb, hot take, not impossible.
I mean, Cody.
But you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
bit,
it's like I think Jey is so over, and I think Priest is a unique champion. I'll put it that way, in that it doesn't feel like he's necessarily going to be a long-term champ. And the Drew thing I mentioned, as well as the Judgment Day kind of infighting, I've just kicked it around a little bit. Bobby, am I losing my mind here? What do you reckon?
No, I don't think it's going to happen, but I can definitely see it. Jay's had this momentum, and the crowds are behind him, obviously, and it would pop the crowd quite a lot. And it does get you to Drew and Punk. That seems to be the direction they're going. I would obviously worry about putting Punk in a title program, but if that's what they're going to do, it makes sense. I mean, it makes more sense than Drew winning it from Priest because he really hasn't even focused on Priest too much yet.
Well, Priest did. To be fair, Priest cashed in, but I get your point.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good transition to kick around this title because this is the belt that it feels like could go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I said to you, who's going to be the champ at the end of SummerSlam? It's like, I have no clue who that's going to be. I don't know. Gunther is sticking around on Raw, which I think complicates it even more because it's like him and Drew both kind of feel like they're destined to be the world champion here shortly.
Yeah, and I thought for sure he was going to be the one to beat.
Yeah.
So that really surprised me when he stayed on Raw.
I think that gives you a hint as to just how long Cody's reign's gonna. I think this is gonna be saying that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not a surprise, but I think it's kind of reiterated by that.
It's a little bit of a surprise to me, honestly. I didn't think they'd go from the 3.5 year reign of Roman right into another year-long plus reign. Like I thought they might go a little shorter.
So I mean, we're going all over the place here, but as we should. This is professional wrestling. If he's working The Rock at WrestleMania, it's like, I guess the question then becomes: is The Rock? What happens there, right? Like anything could happen.
I swear to God, like if they decide after all this bullshit, if they decide that Rock Cody is a match they want to do at next year's Mania, that would be the funniest thing ever to me.
I honestly think that's where we're headed to. I'm actually convinced that's where we're headed. Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. I think the Bloodline Civil War stuff will be the summer and the fall. I think. This may sound crazy, but I think Rock is actually going to work War Games, which is like the funniest possible.
Oh hell yeah!
Dwayne in the little cage, stretching, getting ready to get in there.
Oh no, he won't be in the cage. He'll make the Randy
his own entrance.
Yeah, he'll make the Randy entrance.
Lightning bolts will flash. He'll have his own cage that lies from the ceiling.
Lightning bolts will strike the tiny cages.
He'll come out and smell
Yeah. Oracle, let's kick this around a little bit. The World Heavyweight title. Where is this thing going, do you reckon? Where are we headed with this belt?
I mean, I think it's going a lot of places, to be honest. I don't know. I kind of think that I think by WrestleMania next year, your new World Heavyweight Champion will be crowned, and that'll be Gunther.
Defeating whom, would you say? Gut feeling.
I don't know.
Punk and Gunther is like kind of the perfect Punk match.
Punk, I was thinking Punk, but I mean, who knows? The other
it's hard to know.
Might
Punk,
go, tricep, whatever.
It's terrible.
Punk might turn to dust if he wrestles.
Yeah.
You see how big his arms were?
In some ways, he's. I don't know if that's the best choice for him, but in some ways, it's the perfect Punk match though, because it's like he can actually be the old gunslinger against Gunther, and he can just sell, and Gunther will. I mean, that dude can bring it, obviously, as we know. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think McIntyre's winning the belt in Scotland against Priest. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I think he's gonna work Punk at SummerSlam, and I think he'll win that match. The question is, how many times? I think him and Punk is not. I don't think they're doing all this to do a one-match deal. I think this is going to be like a real saga if Punk can do it, obviously physically.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very interesting seeing how Gunther fits in. Oracle's kind of got him penciled in at Mania. Chris, any other thoughts on the World Heavyweight title's kind of presumed path? It's very hard to figure out.
So I'm with you. I definitely think Drew's winning in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I was on, I advocated for more hot potatoing with the title, and that's why I really don't think Jey wins this weekend, because that would be a little bit too much for my taste. Like that's too far in the extreme the other direction. So I think you keep it on Priest, and that's another reason why I kind of think they're going with a Priest semi babyface turn here. Although in Scotland, obviously Drew will be the babyface there, but on the TV, I think Priest might be a little bit more of a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I don't know. One thing that Matt actually mentioned when we were discussing it is we both think Gunther wins King of the Ring, but what if he also wins Money in the Bank? And he does because he's the ring general. He calls his shot, or WrestleMania. You got Bash at Berlin too. And you can run him and Drew back at Bash at Berlin.
I mean,
and because that's before SummerSlam, right?
I want to say after.
Yeah, that's Labor Day weekend.
You're right.
Weekend is all out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so that wouldn't necessarily work like that. But if it was before, I was thinking maybe.
The thing is, with these Gunther ideas, I think there's a chance. I'm not writing this out. I don't know, folks. I'm not a scoopster. I think Punk wants to make Glasgow. I think that's what he wants to do. Now, Punk wants to do a lot of things. If it was up to Punk, he'd work every weekend and be going 45, But I think I do not think that's off the table, that the main event in Scotland is Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, because I think that's, in Punk's mind, that's like natural, right? If you're going to do a 3-match series, if one of those matches allows Punk to be the heel, kind of in that moment, we saw what he did on Collision with that kind of atmosphere. Could you imagine the electricity in the building? If that's the case, the world title then goes on a completely different path, right? Like, the chat here brings up Sami Zayn. Like, there's a lot of moving factors.
I just saw that. I'm a fan of that idea too.
Yeah, that's great.
The problem is, depending on the timeline of all that, you got to figure out, when does Sami lose the Intercontinental title, and then how do you get him bumped up into that?
Right.
With Gunther, it's easier because he held the belt for 600 plus days. So it's like, okay, you lost one match, big deal. Like, we can see you as a world champion in pretty short order.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, I don't think is going to have that luxury, although the fans still love him, so won't be that hard.
Yeah, I think it's on the table, because I could see them moving the belt to heel Chad Gable sooner than later, the IC belt, that is. But I agree with you. The transition, it's interesting. I definitely think Gunther and Sammy as the Berlin match is like, there's something to that. Again, folks, I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean, I don't feel strongly one way or the other about the 2 world title thing, but I do think this is the beauty of it, in that you can actually have these conversations about, like, maybe you can do something quirky here. Whereas the main belt is, I think, going to be they're going to be very cautious with who wins that. I think that's going to try and really protect that lineage now. So, we shall see. Interesting stuff. At some point in there, we talked about Jey Uso versus Damian Priest. They will say yeet very often. Punches or slaps, at least, will be thrown. Forearms, fires will be slapped, Oracle. Big business ahead of us in France. Damian Priest, Jey Uso, we're all picking old Dame Priest. All right. The WWE Women's
Rikishi wrap Jey to the ring?
Look, it sounds more likely than if you'd asked me this morning if he was going to do a diss track on Hulk Hogan. So, sure, yeah. Lil Wayne did it last month, so anything's possible. WWE Women's Tag Titles. We have the Kabuki Warriors defending against Bianca, Belair, Jade, Cargill. Of course, WrestleMania. This is a trios match. Jade's big WrestleMania showcase. They got the win. On SmackDown tonight, there was like an all-star 8-woman tag. Bianca pinned Dakota. And interestingly, there was some hints of, not hints, really. It was just developing and further continuing this Bianca Bayley thing that I think is actually really compelling. I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for Bianca to like Bayley. It's right. Good. I like that stuff. And I do wonder if that's a hint as to where this finish goes. I'm not so sure. I think this is an interesting one. It could also just be a 7-minute win for the challengers. I'm not quite sure. Oracle, what do you reckon? Kabuki Warriors, Bianca and Jade.
Well, they came back to the Bayley thing this week, which I thought was interesting, and I agree. I like it. I don't know. I mean, feels like this is. I don't know. It felt like Bianca and Jade were going to win, but I don't know. You don't want Jade to lose, so I feel like Bianca and Jade win this, and actually something more like 15 minutes. And,
really interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully, the demon spirits that have haunted Kairi Sane's soul, or leave her be and let her, wrestle a regular match.
Her sell on that backbreaker tonight was ridiculous.
Yeah, she's in an interesting form at the moment. I'll put it that way. Interesting form.
But there's a great video that someone posted on Twitter, if you've seen it, of her all the goofy stuff she's done in house shows. No. It's totally bizarre.
I'm sure there's a lot of material based on what I've seen.
Several minutes worth. Yeah, I think this is going about 15. I think Jade and Bianca are going to win. I think that the women's tag belts have proven to be a hot potato title, which is fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And sometime this summer, they're going to drop them because of Bianca's continued distaste and dislike for Bayley.
So you're thinking title win, and then we'll build further to the Bianca
Correct.
business.
Yes.
Okay. Confident on the match, Oracle?
On who wins, or just on the
Just
match?
the actual quality of the match itself.
I kind of think this one might be closer to the fun good side, even with possible bizarre Kyrie shenanigans. Just because the crowd will be super into it. Asuka, I think, has really kind of been back on her game lately. To be honest, I know it's kind of hard to see.
Right.
Kyrie's kind of getting all the attention for her insanity, but like, I think Asuka's like kind of gotten. I mean, she's not like the Asuka of like 2017 or anything, but she's gotten comfortable in there again, and looks like she's having fun and working pretty hard and doing some good stuff in there lately. That's the impression that I've gotten. I don't know if you've gotten the same.
Well, I haven't watched this closely, but I think we can all agree that the quality of this match is probably dependent on how good she is in it, right? Because I think that would be a fair assumption at this point, especially if they're going a little longer. We'll see in that regard. I'm intrigued. Chris, where do you stand on the women's tag titles match?
So I'm pretty sure Bianca and Jade win. But I guess the question is, do you delay them winning the belts or not have them winning the belts at all and get Jade's first loss out of the way almost?
Yeah.
Or do you want to just keep stacking wins and then then you're gonna have the whole, oh look, they're just copying what AEW did with Jade thing going on, with idiots online. There's the famous thing with when Goldberg came in, and it's like, well, why don't you just do what have him beat everyone like WCW did? And it's like, well, because that's what WCW did. So
yeah.
But I think they probably should win. And I kind of, it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, obviously, but I kind of see like a Mega Powers thing going here with Bianca playing the Macho role and Bianca playing the Hogan role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where like, and it's not maybe, the obsession wouldn't be for like the manager, like Bianca's obsession with hating Bayley, like maybe is what like ends up pulling them apart for some reason or whatever. But
yeah, I see that, and I do think there's a good chance of, when you consider generally how these stories are paced, it does feel like they're going to win the belts first to make people care about that relationship more.
For what it's worth, the question in the chat, I think they will have challengers of Candice and Indy. I did not say they will have credible challengers. I said they will have challengers of Candice and Indy, probably.
Yeah.
The women's tag division is tough. They've given them a lot of time on TV for months now. You can't say they haven't given them time. The matches don't get a ton of time, but I mean, there's a reason why they don't get a ton of time.
Who are we talking? Are you talking about the Indie Candice?
I'm just talking about the women's tag division in general.
Okay, help me because I don't watch this closely. Let's go for those tags quickly.
On Raw every week, there's usually a tag match, right?
Right.
On Main Event every week, there's usually a women's tag match lately with like Chelsea and Piper, which is that's kind of like digging into that's kind of digging into the depth a little bit. But like, they're getting the TV time. It's not like
Chelsea and Piper would be a good match for Jade and Bianca.
I think so. Chelsea's Piper's legitimately a good worker, and Chelsea's such a good character.
Yeah, that's a good match.
Like clearly sucks in the ring, but like she owns her character so much it honestly doesn't matter.
Yeah. Otherwise, there ain't a lot there. I get what you mean. Yeah. It's
So as of right now on SmackDown, there's Chelsea and Piper, Candice and Indy, and they could throw Tegan and Blair Davenport together or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody fall down the stairs. What the hell? And on Raw, because the women's tag titles float, obviously you could have a return with the Kabuki Warriors. There's Shayna and Zoe Stark. The Spooky Witches are over there, and then
Katana and Kate.
Yeah, exactly. Ivy Nile and what's your face? Technically, I guess.
Yeah, Maxine Dupree.
Maxine, yeah.
Ivy Nile's not too bad, but Blair Davenport
she's
is really
okay.
not that bad. B Priestley / Blair
very good.
Davenport's not that bad. She's okay.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do I think they're doing a spooky variant of Bliss Cross too. So get the depth charts ready on that one. So I think that'll be good.
God!
I think Nikki's involved in the upcoming impending spookiness. So we'll see. But what I'm saying is, there's a new boom period coming to the tag team division.
Well, and that could be another factor why this is only a 5-match card too. A lot of people thinking that that group's going to make their. Yeah, a lot of people think that video package tonight pointed to them, or the QR code or whatever it was, because I don't pay attention to that stuff. But from everyone speculating that whatever was shown as part of tonight's show led people to believe that they're showing up tomorrow.
That's interesting. Like, because I don't know what that
crazy.
When we say showing up, I don't know who that would necessarily, because we don't know if it would be like all of them at once, right? Or it would be more
right. Or if they'll roll it out one at a time and it'll just be Bo. At first, Bo and Rowan maybe.
I haven't followed it closely. I think the QR, like, it's not for me, but I actually do think it's like pretty.
If Eric Rowan shows up to a massive pop from
That's
the old brand,
what I was.
I'm calling this show double thumbs up.
Why? The QR code thing isn't for me. I think it's actually like a cool. I think it's cool the way it feeds that part of the audience. I actually do think it's pretty neat. And like, you know, we won't talk about this for long, but I've said it on other shows and stuff. I talked to you about Oracle. Like, I think it's one of those things. Like, let's see what they come up with, right? Like, I think I know people are going to be quick to like.
There's something there to do, like a Wyatt 6 thing. I mean, you know, that's okay.
Right?
It's my thing, but like, I mean, the company's hot. Like, you can throw, like, you can do things to kind of try to appeal to other. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's room for variety on the show.
WWE did that when they were hot 25 years ago. WCW did that, right, when they were hot in 96, 97, 98. So, I mean,
I don't think Cody is going to be working a title program with Rowan or Howdy. Yeah, I think it's going to be a thing on the show for the audience that felt very strongly about Bray's creative. And I think with 5 hours of TV, 7 hours of TV, there's room for, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah we'll see what they come up with. Hopefully it goes well. I'm rooting for.
I definitely hope that they lean less spooky supernatural and more like original Wyatt, but
I actually think you're going to be okay on that front. Now, that could age poorly, but with the way they produce their TV now, I actually think it'll be more like the horror will be more. It was spooky without being supernatural. I think I could be.
Sure, don't have an ads comment.
Well, this blasphemy about Nikki and Alexa. Don't have an ad said. A Nikki Alexa reunion would be hilarious. Everyone on my timeline reacting with pure indifference, and then to be Holbert with the Nakanishi picture. You know who else would be popping huge for that? People who bought tickets, brother. The ones who got themselves in the building, took their seat in Lyon, France. They'd be throwing the babies up in the air. It'd be so exciting.
Lyon.
I was thinking,
especially what do they call it? Lyon, like a lawn.
Tape Machine SmackDown review said AJ Styles is not fond of French people, which is the least surprising news of the evening.
He thinks he's in the upside down because, you know, the Lord's flat.
All right. Anyway, Bob, we were talking about the women's tag title match. You excited?
Yeah, I think it should be a good one. I would be surprised if Bianca and Jade don't win. It feels like it's probably time to do that, and you know, the Kabuki Warriors can still be on Raw, do whatever, and yeah, it should be a good one though. You know, another one that I think maybe 10, 11 minutes would be very good, and kind of definitive win for Bianca and Jade would go a long way for Jade in particular.
I think I'm going to zig here where you fellas have zagged. I think Bianca Belair is going to get like rolled up or something in a miscommunication. It's my hot take of the night. Take it to the bookies, folks. Get in on the action now while it's hot. All right. I got to be honest. I'm a little bit embarrassed about how excited I am for this next match. A little bit embarrassed. I'm not going to lie to you. MFT in the building.
Yeah.
Tama Tonga is here in the World Wrestling Federation. He is teaming with the famed Solo Sikoa, who often is taking it all as they battle the all-star tandem of Kevin Owens. Yep, indeed. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Now, look, I don't know if this is going to be good per se. I don't think Randy tends to fall down, nor should he, based on the way they received him so far. But this has some juice to me because sincerely, bits aside, firstly, I am happy for Tama Tonga, and I know that people have had some fun at his expense. Listen, he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling for like 14 years, dude. Let him do his thing. I'm happy for him. He's working with Randy Orton on Pape or whatever we call it now, Peacock. But like sincerely, I actually think this has been really good stuff. And Chris, you talked about it earlier, right? The Bloodline thing is interesting again. I think Paul Lee has been great in getting this stuff over.
So good.
Yeah, and we have the looming threat of Jacob Fatu. I don't expect him here in France because I'm not necessarily sure he can make that flight. We'll see. Hopefully he can. I don't know. Hopefully, I'd love to see him. I'm not sure. But it's looming, and I just think this stuff's been good, so I'm into it. Chris, where do you stand on the big Bloodline tag?
So given the way the show went off the air tonight, I would not be surprised if this gets turned into some sort of plunder match.
Yeah.
Street fight, Falls Count Anywhere, something like that.
Probably should be.
But yeah, I'm excited to see these four sons of bitches beat the shit out of each other. That's what I'm looking forward to. I kind of want KO and Randy to stay together forever. Like the way the two of them play off each other is. Someone said it. I don't remember who online tonight, but like Kevin just has chemistry with everyone. Everyone they put him. Elias, Sammy, obviously. The Jericho's like
Jericho.
Whoever you put Kevin Owens in a tag team with, it's instant chemistry, and it's like the best thing on the show. And yeah, so I am with you, Joe. I'm psyched for this match. Obviously, I imagine the Bloodline come out of this victorious.
Yeah.
That maybe we'll get to see some juice even. Who knows?
Maybe.
Man, I hope.
Well, there's two different matches here, right? I think there's a chance that even with this build, just because of the way these wrestlers are, I think we may get like a kind of house show, heavy heat on Orton, on Kevin heat, come back for Orton and the place is rocking. But what you described, Chris, to be fair, is much more in line with what they've built. And it immediately takes your mind to that street fight we got last year on the pay-per-view with Kevin Owens getting blood and having the funk shirt and all of that.
Incredible.
Yeah, so
awesome street fight.
If this is a street fight, I think Kevin Owens' presence.
Tag,
it was tremendous. I think Kevin Owens' presence alone would make the ceiling go up tremendously if it is a street fight because he'll do insane things in that. But he's going to be great here regardless. Lots to like here, I think, Oracle. Where do you stand on the big Bloodline tag?
Yeah, I think this is another one where the crowd's going to be super pumped for it. I think the biggest mistake, and I think I have some fears that they might do this, is that they just work just like some traditional tag and like Roman Reigns type Bloodline formula where there's a lot of like.
Right.
This does not. It does not ask for that. This is Kevin Owens got like great color a couple weeks ago. Got beat down. Like they're brawling to end the show backstage. They got to do some type of strip or something. Even if it's just like the one in Pit, you don't even necessarily have to have blood, although that would help things. And they've done it twice now. If they've done it twice on TV, once on cable TV, once on network TV, you can do it on your Peacock.
Oh, for sure.
Let some guy run the razor. I'm not certain if they have the balls to do it just yet. I don't really think that they do. I think in due time it probably will happen. I'm hopeful. I'm not 100% positive it will, but I'm hopeful in due time. Because to me, blood, that's just part of wrestling. Like I think it matters.
Right.
It doesn't. Like we spent many, many years watching WWE and it's had some good periods without it, and doesn't necessarily have to have it, but I think it can make it a lot better.
It's another tool, right? It's another thing in your arsenal. Yeah.
So I'm hoping we get that, but really, I hope we get a brawl. A heated, visceral brawl. That's what I want to see. That's what they've built to. That's what this match asked for. I think we will get that, at least some. I just want it to be the entire thing.
I get that.
And that's where I have some concerns about. But in terms of my interest is actually fairly high. Randy Orton's not going to take any bumps or whatever, but whatever. Randy pops me. He'll make faces and do whatever. But Kevin Owens can be completely insane in this, and Yeah, this is a match I'm actually pretty interested in.
Did you see at the press conference? Randy said he's here to beat up some Samoans. One Samoan and one Tongan, but he's fuck it. I'm here to beat up some Samoans. Let's roll. Yeah, there is. I will say personally, there is a novelty to this of just like how we've ended up with this pay-per-view Randy Orton Tamatonga clash in France. Wrestling's a weird beast. It really is. You never quite know where you're going with it. I wouldn't change it. Bob, I know you've been studying Tamatonga for much of the last decade, right? I know you got your spreadsheet pulled up in front of you. So I'm sure this is a big one for you. How do you feel?
It is. I think Kevin Owens in particular, I think is going to go a long way into making Tamatonga seem like a big deal tomorrow. They've done it with Solo quite a bit over the past year or whatever, with Cena trying to do it, and Randy. But yeah, tomorrow I think it's kind of a showcase for Tamatonga, and I think he's going to deliver. I think the match itself is going to deliver. And I think, Solo and Tama win, and Randy gets his RKO's in, everyone's happy.
Yep. Okay. Works for me. I've been into this kind of pretend Solo tribal chief thing, him showing up in suits but still taping his thumb. I think it's funny. I don't know if I'm supposed to find it funny, but it doesn't really matter. I do, so I'm enjoying it. I think it's pretty apparent that Dwayne is pulling the strings, but we'll see.
What do we make of the reveal that was made tonight that Paul was the one that pulled Roman out of the draft pool and not Roman himself?
Well, it's interesting because I actually think it puts Jacob's place in all this in doubt, because I'm beginning to wonder if Jacob is not actually going to be the new big bad, but is instead going to be Paul Lee's insurance of these guys are going to kill me if I don't get some backup. So, because we all said at Mania, right? Roman's going to be a babyface. But the way they've presented Paul Lee thus far makes me wonder if he's going to flirt in that direction too, because he's terrified of these new kind of new.
Well, I think it just shows that Paul Lee's, been around for a while, so he's playing the game too, and he's pulling strings himself in order to protect himself and Roman. Basically.
Yeah. There are some interesting pieces that come in play when you talk about Paul Lee. One that I know he's on the other show, but this is the World Wrestling Federation. Things can happen. There's two guys on Raw that I think just keep them in mind if indeed Paul Lee is opposite the new bloodline, Wolfpack bloodline. The Bron Breakker thing is do not be surprised if that loops back around, I think that there was intentions there for sure. And also, lest we forget,
he could be the fourth.
Mm-hmm. Unless we forget Punk, I think with Paul Lee, there's always a chance you get him involved. Sami Zayn with the bloodline, there's characters that are kind of could easily be cycled back into this. But I thought I like that segment. I think Nick Aldis is just great as the GM, genuinely great. Yeah. I know we had some fun with the oldest WWE thing, but he's actually good in the role, right? It's it's a good fit for him. So I'm into it.
The way he just doesn't take any shit from when they did the 4-way at the Rumble, and the way they got to it of them, the bloodline, interfering in the triple threat or whatever it was that was supposed to be the number one contenders match, and him just going, tell your boy he just got himself into a fatal 4-way at the pay-per-view.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of early Teddy Long, before Teddy would get
before he became a meme.
Yeah. Well, before he would get, remember when Drew McIntyre was bullying him and shit? Before that, I'm talking 2004 to 2000.
Yeah.
To 2007, Teddy, before he had the Crystal Marshall thing, and then the Vicky, that 3-year run where he would be oh, I'm gonna make this match.
I mean, it's refreshing creative, right? To actually give an authority figure some actual authority. Standing. Yeah, authority. Imagine that. Yeah. So, Chris, you mentioned it, and I actually co-signed the hope that in an ideal world, RKO as a team just lives forever and they conquer all and kick ass. However, this SmackDown roster, if you ever just kind of scan it, it feels like one of these two guys is going to be a big program for Cody, which would suggest I think this team is going to be used to spin one of them heel. Now, this is a complicated one for me because in a vacuum, I don't really want to turn either guy heel. I think Randy's matches are greatly assisted by the fact that he can just sell for a couple minutes on RKO. I don't know if he needs to be
Or
I don't know if
sell
anyone
an
wants to boo
agonizing
him.
pain like at the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone wants to boo him. And my actual fear would be if he turns heel, they'll cheer him even more because they like when Randy is insane,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me look more at Kevin. I think Kevin is so valuable. He can obviously pull it off. I think him and Cody's a great program. But God, he's a great babyface. I don't know. I'm really torn on this RKO situation, Bobby. Which guy would you, if you had to, which guy would you turn for the big, say it's like a summer program for Cody Rhodes, just as a hypothetical?
It's tough because it feels like there's more story with Randy, but I think it's going to be really hard to get anyone to boo him at this point because he is still only, 6 months away from coming back. It's a lot of people's first time seeing him since he came back. So in that regard, I'd probably go with Owens first, but I think, there's obviously money in a Randy feud and match down the road. But yeah, I think Owens would make more sense this summer.
Yeah, I actually kind of am into the idea of the Randy match being a babyface match where Randy just wants to see if he can do it one last time, and they could kind of play with that a little bit. Interesting. Chris, what do you think? What's the best direction there if you need to flip one of the guys?
Yeah, because they probably will. Because for world title contenders on SmackDown, I think we got Orton, we got AJ, obviously, Kevin Owens, and then I imagine Solo at some point, and then
I think they'll do
Lashley and Nakamura if you're really.
I think when Logan drops the US belt, I think they'll get one out of that too. I could definitely see him doing Cody and Logan.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how they do that. Seeing as Cody signed as a Prime athlete, so that could be interesting. I'm kind of leaning towards Randy's the obvious one, but I'm kind of leaning towards Kevin because let's not forget the whole reason why Kevin's on the Bloodline hit list is because that SmackDown after Mania, he was going into Cody's locker room, which once was the Bloodline locker room, and kind of was mocking the Bloodline as he went in. And you could kind of what I'm thinking is maybe he was in there talking to Cody about getting a shot. He could say, "Hey, you promised me you'd give me a shot, but you're wasting your time with AJ and whoever else." So it might not happen right away, but I could definitely see her in a couple months.
Oh, for sure.
Owens kind of being like,
I could also see.
Told me I was going to get a shot. Give me a shot.
I could also just see him snapping just because how many times have they kicked the shit out of him? And Kevin, we've seen him do that kind of turn before, the kind of psychotic wide eyes Kev of yesteryear. So yeah, I think there's ways to do it, and I think him and Cody is super fresh, right? Have they done anything with each other? I mean, I can't. I must be forgetting stuff because I'm getting old. But I don't know. It's interesting. Oracle, RKO. What are you there? And where do you reckon this is going?
I mean, it sounds like they got to do both programs, right? I mean,
yeah, probably.
They're really thin. Both are probably going to happen.
I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I prefer Kevin as a babyface more too. Although I liked his heel run when he did the Austin stuff and then the Elias stuff. It was well done. Sure. He was great in it. It's one of the only times I really liked him as a heel, other than his initial NXT run. Otherwise, I've never been a big fan of Owens as a heel. I find him too ironic, but as a babyface, I think that his act fits way better. I've become such a big fan of his as a babyface. So I hope not, but I mean, it probably makes more sense to turn Kev. I think, it's it's one of those things where you remember when he came back in 2019 and he had the Danielson and Ali triple threat. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was babyface, and he did the New Day thing where he had good chemistry, as Chris pointed out. He was the new remember New Day or whatever, and then he
Big O.
And then he just was a heel for 2 months and then went back babyface in the Shane feud or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably do that. I mean, I know you don't want to risk of big showing him, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I just prefer him as a babyface.
He's kind of like Foley.
Weeks and then turn him back.
Yeah, he's very Foley, right? In the way you can kind of adjust him and reset him. Yeah, interesting. We'll see where they go. I think as we all kind of mentioned, as for the match, Kevin's pivotal for this match. Absolutely pivotal. I mean, I think this match's quality will be decided by just how insane Kevin's willing to get in France tomorrow, which, if that's the case, that bodes well for the fellas in the match, because usually he doesn't fall short in that regard. All right, folks, we have a couple matches left here. We hope you've enjoyed this thus far. If you have, like the video, subscribe, the stuff Bob usually says, do all that good stuff. Let's move ahead here. We're at hour and 15. This is easy work. All right. The women's title match. Okay, help me. What is SmackDown the one with the world titles, or is SmackDown the one with the? How does this work?
WWE.
This
SmackDown
is the
WWE.
Yeah.
WWE women's title. We have a triple threat match. We have Bayley, of course, won the belt in a really tremendous match with Io Sky. We have Naomi, who was in the aforementioned Damage Control trios, and we have Tiffany Stratton, who has honestly made one of the fastest ascents and climbs of a women's division we have seen in many, many years. I mean, it's been a while, man. Like, normally when we get call-ups in the women's division, it takes a while for them to make any ground. Some never do, right? Let's be real. So, not only is she getting pushed, but, like, her push is still catching up to how over she's got. It's kind of crazy. Like, they immediately have taken to her. So, we all thought she'd do well. She's done great thus far.
She got right place, right time. Elimination Chamber, where it was a match where she could show her strengths, and she was the best person in the match.
Mm-hmm.
And she was super over, and that just they saw that, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can just skyrocket her, basically."
Yeah,
you know?
I think the division
she's
needs
Money in the Bank and this summer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I tend to agree, and I think the division needs fresh faces, right? So I think it's important. I'm not a big triple threat fan, as we know, but this feels like a good mix. Bayley's brain and her wrestling psychology, with two wrestlers who can do a lot of cool shit, both of which are over. They have enough doubt in the result, because some people think Tiffany's winning, even though I don't. There's enough there that it's not like a completely cold match. I think this actually might rock the house a little bit. So this will probably be the match that I like less than the people, but like I think this will be fun. Pretty hopeful in this one, Bobby. Triple threat, WWE Women's Title. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think this is going to be another one where the crowd is just super into it. You know, we've seen how the international crowds love Bayley. Tiffany got a good reaction. Honestly, Naomi got a good reaction tonight too. Like, it's interesting. Like, I think this is going to be a really good one. I think multi-woman was the way to go here, because it does kind of give all three a chance to show off a little bit more than just a one-on-one match would. And, Bayley is going to probably retain by pinning Tiffany, which I think is the right move. And it should be good. It should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think the Money in the Bank thing makes a lot of sense. I'm intrigued how that kind of develops. Chris, what do you make of the triple threat match?
Bayley probably is going to win. This is more so than the Jade. Like, this is the Strike While Iron's hot match for me on the card. Like, I think it should be Tiffy time. I really do. And yeah, I mean, she probably won't win, and so then she should win Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
But I would be very happy if Tiffany won.
I'm told Tiffy time is all the time is Tiffy time, from what I understand. I haven't studied it extensively. Oracle, Tiffy time?
I think Bayley's winning this. I think we're gonna get Bayley and Nia at either maybe not a queen, maybe not King in the Ring, but because you know how they space stuff with their matches, it might be at Clash of the Castle. But
dude, if they wrestle at Clash of the Castle, they will be returning to Britain. What we at 8.5 years? Because 8.5 years, dude.
Because of how they do. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. Because of how they do things. We've talked about this. Where our theory is that Heyman.
Mm-hmm. It's very spread.
Kind of using having Heyman help them, where like you save the big matches, and that's why there's less matches on these cards now. So you're not doing repeats. So, for example, just to go off script a little bit, I think Becky and Liv is at King of the Ring as the non Queen of the Ring match.
Yes, and then it will go to the next show.
I think Bayley and Nia is for the title at Clash of the Castle.
Mm-hmm. They kind of rotate that way.
Yeah. So that would be my guess. I think Bayley wins here, and I think Tiffany wins Money in the Bank. But I'm a huge Tiffany Stratton fan. Like I think she's the best prospect they've had down there, and since Bianca and Rhea, in 4 years. So easily the best prospect they've had 4 years.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's she's obviously still got a ways to go, as she should. She's like a 4-year pro or something. Like she's not even that, I don't think. She's like 3 years in. But I think Bayley is like the perfect opponent, right? Like you pair her with Bayley, and ideally they work every
I'd really like
single
to see a
house
singles
show.
match between the two.
I think you will.
I'm not a huge Naomi fan, but
yeah,
I used to like her a good bit back in like the late 2010s.
Her work since coming back has been pretty shaky, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's been apparent. I actually was pretty bullish on some of the TNA stuff. I know you didn't see that stuff. Her match with Jordan that she closed the run up with, I thought was pretty sick. She's looked, to me, a little off since getting back. Now, the thing with that is, how much has she worked with Tiffany before this? Not ever, right? And Tiffany's still finding a way, and they've had like a couple matches. And I think
let's be honest. I mean, the way Tiffany. I mean, Tiffany's an incredible athlete, but like obviously
she's not a natural.
When you're green, I think she's good, but she's still good. She's still got the greenness
for sure.
She's over here. One of her key spots is just like running and doing like a running stomp, which looks awesome. It's like she's low key or something. But
she's not like a naturally smooth worker. She's still very mechanical.
Yeah, she's kind of jagged and like
I thought the Naomi Bayley match, I thought was an example of. I thought the way they worked the first half of that match, I just thought was way. I think they tried way hard to do the quick combinations. I didn't think it was a good call. Second half, I thought they kind of got into it a little more. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is a good spot, honestly, for Naomi to have like a performance kind of makes us reassess. Oh, she's still a player in the division because she could be, right? Like you look at SmackDown's women's division. Jade, Bianca, Tiffany, Bayley, they've lost damage control. Naomi's like important to the depth of that division. So we'll see what they come up with. I think she's pretty obviously going to be, getting pinned here in some shape or form. I think it's probably fair to say. But yeah, I think the match will actually be a hit. I mean, all these matches will be hit lives, but I think this will actually.
I agree. I think the crowd will be into them.
Yes.
I just think the matches have to be careful because, like I said, this crowd will be loud. And I do get, and I'm an irritable fuck. So like, when the crowds get performative, it does get annoying to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because they were a little bit that way on SmackDown. I mean, they're having a good time. I mean, Joe and I were texting about it. They're just, I mean, they're very excited to see. I mean, it's when the fuck have they ever done a pay-per-view in France? Never.
Exactly. Yeah. Never.
So like, they're obviously excited, but like, I don't know. Sometimes it gets a little bit. Like, because like even that stuff was aggravating me some in the Ospreay and Danielson match, like the,
you're not excited for 10,000 people chanting Tiffy time, Oracle.
That doesn't bother me as much because that's like a direct sort of response to the wrestler.
It's more like when they make up stuff. I get what you mean.
Yeah, that bothers me. Although I also understand that like when Europe, it's probably also a cultural thing. So like
it is. It's like a football chant thing, and it's also as I was texting you, like you just mentioned it. Like when I was there last year in Paris for the WWE show, like there's just a sense in the building. They're so excited to see the people they see on TV.
And sometimes I actually think there'll be a thing where like when the matches start, they'll be hot by the entrances. And yeah, I mean, I'm the asshole who's going to analyze this, but like they'll probably be a little bit performative, to start the matches, and then if the workers get going, then they'll really start to actually get into the actual.
I think so.
Match itself, and like, obviously this audience will be very willing to be into the show. I'm doing my nuanced, opinion here. I'm not trying to steal any fun or anything, but
Oracle, you would have been throwing hands in our section for night one of WrestleMania We
a lot of ironic chants.
So we hopped seats like 2 times within the first 3 matches because of trying to get away from.
Oh my God.
So we get there. Tell the story. We got time. We get there. We get in our seats, and it's our night 1 seats were in the upper bowl, and so seats are super tight anyway.
Sure.
And obviously I'm a bigger person, and of course the people sitting next to us,
shit.
we're bigger people, so it's like, okay, so we're in 1 row. I think we were like row 14. Right below us is a group of like six guys, and then row above them there's a gentleman who I later deduced had some form of autism or something like that. So it took some of the annoyance out of it, although it was still very. This gentleman was doing running commentary through every match, like
My God.
like Joey Styles commentary, play by play.
Dude.
He had his phone. I don't know if he was streaming or what, but he had his phone out, running, like doing
a radio broadcast.
Yes.
I respect
and
it.
then like during the
I'm
ladder
gonna try
match,
that shit.
during the ladder match, he was
There's a lot to commentate in the ladder match.
Well, when Balor was, so he must have been a big fan of New Japan, because when Balor was in the match, he kept calling him or Prince Devitt. And then he just exploded in some sort of Japanese commentary like shit. Like I think whatever his deal was.
I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
So like,
so
he's doing this throughout the Becky Rhea match. The group of 6 dudes right behind us, they buy secondary market seats to move. They're like, enough with this shit. Like, we're getting out of here. So then when they pieced out, like, we hopped up to get some extra space, and then we watched the ladder match, and it was like, my wife was like, okay, I really cannot take this. So then the next row, the same row he was in, but way further down, there was a group of empty seats. So we ended up hopping up into those.
There was no commentators there.
And then all we had to deal with is there was a couple dudes who every match they kept trying to start. I think I even messaged you guys about it throughout the night. They kept trying to start a dude wipes chant every match.
Yeah, and I bet they thought that was the funniest shit.
They did. They're like, we want dude wipes.
Now, Chris, I don't know if you're going to be excited about this or not, but I don't know how to break it to you. The guy who was sitting behind you at night 1 WrestleMania was in fact Kevin Kelly. So I don't know if you were aware of that. He was streaming on Kick. If you'd have told me, I would have told you to get a photo or something, dude. Like he's like,
I was like the whole time I'm like, what is this dude's problem? And then when I turned around and I saw he had his dad with him, and you could just tell by the dad's face, like he's just, this is what happens. And I'm like, okay, like it's been annoying, for Kevin, but you have my sympathy, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
Absolutely. Kevin's been through a lot. The collision thing was very different, right? Bob, do you have any comment on the Kevin Kelly release? Because that seems like you're kind of, I know you're big on the cancel culture stuff. So do you want to have 20 minutes or so on that, mate? I got the. Do you want to? We'll lay out if you want, Bob. Solo?
No, I'm good.
You want a solo? Do you want to talk about the cancel culture? Kevin Kelly? They fired Kevin Kelly, Bob. Do you hear about this?
They did.
Yeah.
Not Kevin Owens, though, right?
No, not that. Not Kevin. Who's they, Bob? You talking about AEW?
The powers of B, man.
It's about Biden.
No, that's a Ron and Don Harris, which might be worse, but
definitely worse.
True. Great point.
Read up on Ron and Don, brother.
I know.
Andrew, were you at WrestleMania? I see your comment.
There is dude wipes chants being reported across our chat right now. Okay.
I was at 220s. 220s in night one. I don't remember the exact section.
We're about to discover that Andrew was the one commentating the matches in our chat.
See if I can find my ticket, and I'll tell you exactly what section we were in. 215, I want to say, something like that.
My goodness.
Let's see here. Oh, 204. Section 204, row 15 is where we started.
205 live. All right,
so
Andrew, where are you?
Was it as cold as they claimed it was on night one?
It was the wind. The wind was a problem. The wind was a problem.
Yeah.
I love the way you phrased that, as they claimed it was.
Well,
fucking pussies.
I mean, like Michael Cole wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, dude.
It feels
they brought
like
it up a lot.
No,
it's what it feels like. Or
the wind. The wind was a problem. Before the show, my wife sent me on a hunt for hot cocoa because she saw someone walking around with hot cocoa, and I'm like, all right. And I had to walk past like 5 different food vendors before I found one that was actually selling the hot cocoa. So
Andrew suggests he was above you. I don't think we can just write out the idea that there's multiple people trying to do like. I mean, wrestling fans are quite,
right.
I mean,
he probably heard him too. Yeah. But yeah, it was ridiculous. As always, the worst part about going to a wrestling show
is the wrestling fans. When I went to New Japan with Mama Holbert had never been to a wrestling show, and she went to the New Japan show in London. She thinks Will Ospreay's great because Will Ospreay's from very close to where we're from, So Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. was the main event, and we sat down. It was she loved the show. She thought it was great. But as soon as we sat down, she said to me, "And what's that? There's a smell." I said, "That's the wrestling fans. That's it says it on the ticket." What do you mean? It's the fans. Well, they're surrounded us. Of course, there's a smell. This is professional wrestling. What do you think this is? Fucking amateur. All right. Anyway,
don't have an ad. The funny thing is, the Dude Wipes ad actually, they put it up to start the Rhea Becky match, and everyone was like, "What? Why is this?" And then they quickly took it off the ring apron and the post and stuff. But it started out during the Rhea Becky.
They said, "Give that shit to Jimmy Uso." Oh, fuck. All right. Main event time, folks. Again, if you've enjoyed this, like, subscribe, that shit. AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Universal title of the globe and the world. Now, if I was a pessimist, I would not have cut my hair until after this match because I'm inevitably going to crash out when this is a 3 1/4. Because I have got myself dangerously excited about this match, like alarmingly excited. They're doing like Rocky montages with AJ in the sauna, just losing his mind. His new character is a guy who's like lost his mind. It's fucking awesome. I'm not sure it's a character.
When he gets out of that cold plunge, it just goes.
Like, I'm not even actually like writing this. This is actually on the TV show. They did it tonight. It was a great. I thought AJ was great in that segment tonight, but like his character is a guy who's like super paranoid about the fact he might be washed. Like, that's who he is.
Beat the washed allegations.
Yeah, and it's like it drives him nuts. And Cody made one thing about him being old, and he was like, "I'm not fucking old, man." And it was. I thought it was great. I loved his fire. So they've really talked me into this. And it helps that AJ has actually been really pretty good on TV as of late. His matches of LA Knight were good. He had a strong triple threat match with Kevin Ray. I got a feeling, man. I don't know. I think with this crowd and with AJ appearing to be slightly unhinged, I think he might do something a little bit crazy.
I'm going to be honest with you, dude.
Yes, please.
This is the type of match where like they're not going to do it because if they did it, they'll do it in the tag. But like it's a dream scenario where like I wish they could like put in the like freedom of like the AEW matches. And like they just do like a double blade, man, and like
swing for the fences.
Yeah, bro. Could you imagine?
I don't know if AJ can run it, dude. I think he just like explode live on air. I don't know if his skin's. Have you seriously? Look
that video with him in like the pool or whatever. You posted the screenshot of him like wincing in the sun because the sun was in his eyes.
They did this thing too where they put his audio over the top of a just shot of him just like sitting there. So it looked like it was like his internal monologue. And he's like, Cody Rhodes ain't doing this shit. I'm telling you, I'm not predicting it. Look,
it was shot like an interview for Dark Side of the Ring.
I'm telling you guys now, you think what you will. Oh, Cody ain't going to lose the belt. This shit ain't going past 4 minutes. AJ Styles is going to win the belt for a shoot. He's going to go in there and beat the hell out of him. I'm telling you. There's no way. Cody ain't built like that, man. He's a pit bull. He's an animal. I expect double leg takedown. I think he's going to get the calf crush within a couple minutes. I think this is a wrap. So that's where I stand. Bob, I don't know how you feel, but like seriously though, I'm amped for this match. I think this is going to be killer. Bob, where do you stand?
Yeah, I'm fired up for it. It's been the big topic of discussion, the Grin Grappler group chat this week. Really getting me fired up for it. And, I hope AJ has one more classic in him, at least one more. He's on a nice little run after we did all think he might have been a little washed, but he has turned it around. I think Cody, main eventing his first pay-per-view as champion. He's going to want to do something big and special. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope, just like you, that they can pull something together, and I think they're going to.
Yeah, I think the crowd is big in kind of unlocking this too. Chris, I know you like me, we're big AJ Styles fans. Where do you stand on this one, mate?
I'm psyched for this match. AJ is one of my top 5 wrestlers of all time. Cody's working his way into that category every week. And these are 2 of my guys, and I can't wait to see him go at it. And yeah, I'm so pumped for this match. Obviously, I think Cody retains, but I'm psyched that this match is happening.
Yeah, crazy one of those crazy first time matchups that doesn't make sense. Do you think about? It's like, of course, right? Yeah,
like it's just so great. Like, and they did it with Randy's theme too tonight, but it's just hearing these crowds where France is probably a little bit different, but it's like the way they're just singing all the lyrics to these songs, it's like some Michael Jackson shit.
It's
like
crazy.
Michael Jackson going to like South America in the early
It's
90s,
crazy.
and these people who can't speak like English are singing Billie Jean word for word, like that type shit going on with these entrance themes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild. Cody is what he's turned himself into is like crazy. Like he's a superhero right now. And I was actually a little concerned when I watched the presser. Concern's the wrong word, but I kind of thought, I wonder if nostalgia is going to convince some of the people to kind of get lost in the AJ fair, the kind of, because it happens, right? Sometimes when the old guy goes for the belt, the people talk themselves into it. But I thought tonight's segment was really promising, and that AJ was able to pretty easily get him to boo him. I mean, he did a little cheap heat, and it worked a treat, right? They said, we'll play balls. So, Oracle, should I be excited? Am I allowed, do you think? Or is this going to go poorly for me?
Sure. I mean, this match is going to go 2 ways. I said the other day, it's going to either be incredible or it's going to go,
Solid pros.
as I call it, a 3-star bore. Although I'm not sure it would be that necessarily, because the crowd would be too loud for that necessarily to be a bore. But that's no in between, no less. It's either going to be like incredible or like,
just a match.
Yeah.
Well, one factor to talk about here is I'm not convinced this is a one and done. AJ still hasn't really. I mean, he obviously hit Cody. He hasn't done it. He hasn't got big heat on Cody or anything. I kind of think Cody might get a Brett style roll up here, if I'm being honest. I could see that, and then AJ really loses his mind more so than we've already seen. I could see that.
You might be right. I think we might be getting. Yeah, Cody AJ will finish things in Saudi Arabia, I think.
They could do a TV match too.
They could.
Sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but no, because Cody's going to be on. I would imagine Cody's going to be on all of these PLEs going forward. So it probably would be that. But I was thinking if you maybe don't want, or Cody doesn't want to be on that show or whatever, you could do a TV return bout and kind of do it that way.
Yeah. I also think if they want to bring the Bloodline stuff back to the belt, do not be surprised if they use AJ's like triple threat superpower to steal a solo thing. They might like, you know what I'm saying? Like Saudi might be solo versus Cody versus AJ because
I think the solo match is going to, whenever the solo match is, that's when we know Roman's due back anytime.
Due back.
Yeah, I think
that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good call. What do you reckon, Bob? One and done, or is this the start of a couple matches here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can stretch it out a little bit because King of the Ring is in like 3 weeks, and then Clash of the Castles, another 3 after that. So, I mean, it does kind of feel like there's still going to be a lot there, even with, Cody winning tomorrow, presumably. I think you can definitely go back to it.
Yep, hopefully it goes well. Oracle and I, we're not committing to anything, but we did talk about it briefly. If the matches are fucking awesome, we may just like do a review show. If it's just good, we probably won't do a review show. Basically, Oracle's right where we stand. It's like we'll see how we feel. Total game time decision. There is a good chance this show comes and goes without it needing to be reviewed necessarily. Like, I don't know necessarily how it will come out. It could be a thing where the match is so great, we're like, oh, we need to hop on. So stay tuned at Late Night Grin on the Twitter gimmick and both of us individually. Like,
I am available tomorrow. So
yes, again, we'll try and we'll see, folks. We're not going to commit, but the time at least is favorable. We won't be doing it at midnight, right? So it should, I might be. It depends how long the show tends to go. I think I'm going to be safe for 5 matches. All right, folks, just to close here, we're going to do some roster. We're going to just scan the new rosters. We do appreciate you for joining us tonight. We know there's a lot going on. There's NBA playoffs. In the time we've been on the air, both Drake and Kendrick have dropped tracks, which made my phone.
Clippers and Mavs.
I don't know, Bob. You're the expert.
111-97. Dallas about to clinch. So
wow,
they're going to be moving on.
Well,
I'm ready for that Nuggets and Timberwolves series. I think that could be fun.
It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I made the decision today to mute the words Kendrick and Drake on Twitter today, mainly because of Manny. But
all of us need to have a conversation with Manny about the way he tweets. It's that sometimes he just. In fact, hold on a second. I want to read this tweet out. I'm not going to give it any context. I don't have any.
Violent nature videos of lions feasting on deer or something. Dude, what are you doing, bro?
He tweeted today.
There you go, Andrew. Yeah, you were in the section right next to us. So yeah. Those were the dudes.
Incredible. Manning today tweeted in his time zone. This would be like 10 a.m. You can suck crack? ? No engagement on this. Not one like, not one repost, not one bookmark. Just out of the blue, you can suck crack. Man, he'll hear this in like 3 weeks when he's listening to. Anyway,
this time is so unhinged.
Oh, it's let's look at these rosters quickly before we get out of here. All right. So the big takeaways to me was Raw clearly added some work rate, right? And some guys that are going to give them action and excitement. So I've listed here
some meat.
Indeed. So we got Sammy, Gunther, Sheamus, Gable, Ray, Dragon Lee, Finn Balor, Ricochet, Ilya, Bate, and Dunn. That's just like a loose list of guys that I think are going to have pretty extended matches on the undercard. Bob, how do you feel about the decision? And I think it's fair to say, looking at SmackDown, there is a clear decision to this is the right. Is this the right call? Do you think the kind of in-ring heavy guys go Raw, and the stars that don't need to wrestle as long matches go SmackDown? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. If nothing else, it's going to sound way simpler than I mean it to. But one show's 3 hours and it's harder to fill, and one show's 2 hours, and it's easier to fill if you have a couple big stories going on that can take 45 to an hour right there. So Raw, and plus with the Intercontinental title, that's kind of been deemed a workhorse title, and even the World Heavyweight Championship gives more kind of flexibility, like we talked about earlier, than the title Cody has. So yeah, I mean they kind of need more guys over there.
Yeah, I also think not only is it an hour long, but SmackDown has that the ads on SmackDown are crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, SmackDown tonight for me ended 10 minutes early because they have to add extra ads for you guys. It's insane. I mean, it's wild.
It's the Fox stuff. I'm so glad. I'm going to be so happy when they go to USA.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know how the Netflix or the Raw thing is going to work out. But
apparently,
have
it's
they
going to be
decided where they're going to go in that weird period in the fall.
I think we're going to do it on the Grin. I think we're hosting it. I think that's what's happening. I could be wrong. I haven't spoke to our executives, but yeah. So, Oracle, does this strike you saying you're going to like this sort of work rate verse of the Raw?
Some of these guys I like. I mean, like, depends, man. Like, just depends on the match. Depends on the. I don't know. It's tough to say. Like,
yeah, because you're not bullish on all of these fellas, are you?
No, I'm not. That's the problem. And like, they're obviously going to go out there and like have their match, but like, I don't know, man.
Case by case.
Yeah, it's a case by case thing. Like,
you need a lot of Sheamus, don't you?
And when they had the first, and he's there. When they had the first couple of years of 3-hour Raws, which was many years ago now, like they had the freaking roster that I would like to like pair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, you know, sometimes I like Ricochet. I never loved the guy, but then sometimes I think he sucks. Like, yeah, it's like sometimes. I mean, I love Sheamus, but like, he's 46 and he still kicks ass. Like, I like the Ivar match, but I didn't. You know, the Nakamura match wasn't any good. But, I don't know. Ilya, I usually think his matches are good, but he comes from and of course he was doing this beforehand, but like he comes from the Shawn Michaels school of acting.
It's very theatrical
with his faces and stuff, and that just doesn't really like.
I will say, him and Sheamus sounds like some
fucking. Oh my god, that'd beat the hell out of their rule.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But and I'm hoping we get to see. I'm sure we'll see that at some point in 2024 calendar. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm not as amped up as some people are for it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's the right move to make Raw I mean, you know, as Bobby said, I mean, it's just as simple as, or it can be just as simple as, you know, you got to fill 3 hours.
I gotta say, dude, heel Chad Gable working with Ray Jr. I think could be a good time.
Yeah, I forget LWO's moved over there. Ray.
And we got Carlito.
Chad for sure. You know?
Carlito too, Oracle. Don't forget him.
Carlito's over there now.
Oh, he's tearing it up.
Oh, fuck. He's gonna have a 12-minute match with Dragon Lee.
Yeah,
we shall see. That on SmackDown where they could have just went 6 minutes, you know, or 7. Mm-hmm. Now they're gonna go like, I'm just gonna add more. They're gonna go like 14 on Raw, and it's gonna be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I'll not be watching that. Chris, where do you stand on the star power among the dudes on Raw? So. Braun Breaker is obviously a project, right? Mm-hmm. He's obviously going to be pushed. Braun Strowman is very over and is valuable. After that, from what I see in front of me, obviously Sami and Gunther, Jey Uso, Priest, Seth, Drew, and Punk. Now, Punk is going to be around when he's around, right? Like, even if he's healthy, he's not going to be on every week, no matter what he would suggest. He's just not. Yeah. Seth, I don't know when he's going to be back. He really had to battle through to get through, bro. It was crazy.
Did you notice that in the building, Chris? Like when,
I did.
I mean, obviously, because you're so engrossed even in the building.
There's so much going on, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I kind of was like, I did kind of notice. I'm like, I saw everyone else in the ring, and I'm like, well, where is Seth? Like, he should be in there. And then I didn't see him until he and when he was on the outside of the ring. And Cody, you know, shook his hands through the ropes there. Like that's when I kind of
realized
realized he was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know. I figured shit, if he can work those 2 matches that he worked, I figured he was okay. So I thought he was just selling really well. And then come to find out, no, he's pretty
did he
bad off.
Working those 2 matches, he must have.
I think so because
Yeah,
the way
The
he
Drew
had
match
to
that he hurt
hit
himself in, wasn't it?
in the
I would
Drew
imagine.
match,
Finish, though.
he had to hit the stomp like sideways because he literally couldn't come down on his knee. So he had to like, if you remember how he did the stomp, he like went took like a flat back on it.
Mhm.
He was fucked. So I say all this to say like, worry is the wrong word because there's a lot of good wrestlers on the show, but with 3 hours, I do think like they need some luck on the injury front here, you know, like because star power wise, it isn't booming. Chris, is that a fair assessment? Maybe I don't know. What do you think?
I definitely think Raw got the better end of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's not, especially because Drew's not wrestling right now because he's banged
Right.
up.
Rhea's hurt.
Rhea's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited. Like I said earlier, I'm excited for all the big boys that can just beat the hell out of each other on this show because you
Gives
got
them more variety.
Gunther,
too, yeah.
you got Drew, you got Sheamus, you got Ivar,
Ivar's good, dude.
you got Strowman,
It-
Bronson, Dijak, Breaker. Like, give me
Yeah.
all of that.
I don't know
There's
if
a
you've
lot of good
noticed,
talent.
Joe, Bobby, but like on my list, like I like every Ivar match I put, dude, that dude is fucking good. His main
No,
event
he's real
matches are
good.
He's been good
Mhm.
for years, dude.
Oh yeah, he was always better than Eric, but like
Mhm.
it's just he's good, man. Like he's one
Do
of
you
the better
remember
workers they
when
have on TV.
the word on him back in the olden days was that they couldn't sign him because his back was like fucked up? This is like 2015. It blows my mind. Every time I see him wrestle, it's like
Shit. Yeah,
now he's out there wrestling over Femi.
that match was
Throwing
good.
himself for yeah,
It was.
it was. In terms of the women's division, it's pretty simple, right? They didn't really lose any pieces and they had damage control. Like that to me, to my eye, that was the only big development there. Which obviously you're getting 4 pieces there. It's like EO is huge. EO and Rhea had a killer match in NXT when Rhea's ear got busted up.
And in fair, Io and Bayley could be great too, or not Bayley Becky, sorry, but
Becky, yeah.
yeah, Io and Becky could be awesome.
Yep.
Should be
Yep.
awesome if they ever
And
did.
I'm hoping 3 hours will allow for the more upward momentum for Dakota too. I'm hoping. So
Yeah.
I think
feels like Lyra will get somewhat of a put. I don't think she's as good of a prospect as Tiffany. Not really close even. Though I think Lyra's like better than like a lot of like like an indie or
her work's good.
Good 10 years ago. I'm not huge on Candice. And to be fair, I like some of Candice's NXT run early on. But Lyra, I think, is probably better than Candice.
The best thing they can do for Lyra is immediately go to the Becky link.
That's probably true. Their match was really good in the fall.
Yeah. They need to use that to give her some to give her some standing because you don't want to just drop her on the show because she's a good worker, but she doesn't have like a huge personality, So
yeah.
So yeah, I think Raw has a good crew. Again, I think the quality of the show will be good. Star Power is the only thing I circled. SmackDown is a weird show, right? I mean, we just talked about the ads. It sometimes feels like it doesn't even need a lot of content to fill its 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are weeks where you can convince me that Collision is literally 3 times longer than SmackDown. There's like that much difference in how much shit is on the show.
5 more months left, right, until they move to USA.
October, yeah.
5 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then again, 5 months ago, Punk had just cut his return promo. That feels like it was 2007 now, right? So
yeah.
By then, God only knows where we'll be.
Summers are long too, so
yeah, we'll see. SmackDown has some star power, right? You got Cody is obviously the guy. Orton is over huge. LA Knight, who got an Austin pop tonight in France, lest we forget. What a reaction he got. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul is helpful in that regard. AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and the Bloodline angle and all that comes with that, be it Rock, Roman, whatever it looks like. The one that was interesting here to me, Andrade is kind of the like lone banger, quote unquote, like the guy who will have those matches. That feels like a good thing for him, honestly, right? Like it feels like you can actually position him that way and push him that way. How do you feel, Bobby? I'm intrigued. Andrade came back just over 3 months ago. He's had like moments. He's still yet to like really sink his teeth into anything because 3 months. How do you feel about his chances on SmackDown as kind of the work rate guy, I guess, would be the way I put it?
Yeah. I think he's going to do well there. You know, he came back at a really tough time without a clear direction for Mania, and obviously they got him in there. But, you know, I think this summer is really going to be a chance for him to kind of reestablish himself. And, you know, being one of the only work rate guys instead of being one of, 7, 8, 9 like he would be on Raw, I think is going to be really well for him too.
Yeah, I hope so. Oracle, any thoughts on, you don't even have to just talk about Andrade specifically, any thoughts on the SmackDown roster kind of broadly? Go wherever you want with that, mate.
Yeah, they've really kind of stacked it up with star power, it seems, in many ways, especially with, moving Cody over there permanently. Because originally, didn't Cody want to be on like both shows?
Yeah.
And they just kind of just nixed that.
Kind of had to, right?
Save him from himself.
Yeah. And also, it would kill the other belt, right? Like, it
would murder it. Yeah, you're right. It would. Which, I mean, very little sympathy there for me, but yeah, I mean, SmackDown has the interesting kind of stuff. Like Cody as champ's always going to be interesting, I think, and then the Bloodline stuff. That's going to carry the show as those two kind of things, which will probably intertwine eventually again. Yep. But like, it's very much going to be like these are the stars. This is, you might get, 1 10-15-minute match a week, probably, right? Maybe 2. Right. Other matches are going to be squashes or just small sort of angles, whatever. Yeah, I think Raw probably is a show that I'll prefer, even though I'm not as bullish as for the guys in the ring. But star power wise, I think bigger things will happen during more important periods of the year on SmackDown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
SummerSlam build. Yeah. SmackDown's going to be a little bit more important to watch. Mm-hmm. So on and so forth.
In terms of the women's division, as I said, Damage Control is a big loss because there's 4 pieces. They got Nia, who has been good since returning and is, as we said, natural feud for Bayley, and obviously they're going to do something with Jade. Yeah, theme. Mm-hmm. That's a nice addition there. Chris, anything as we close out here, just broadly, anything that stands out on the SmackDown roster you'd like to circle, mate?
So they're I think the women's single division, they got some talent there, and they're really strong in the main event and the upper mid card. They really do not have a lower mid, like the basement of guys on Raw is guys like Dragon Lee and Carlito, right? Whereas and Odyssey Jones, but he's never on TV. On SmackDown, you're looking at Giovanni Vinci and Apollo Crews. So it's like,
I wonder if they can get something out of Vinci because he can work, right?
Yeah,
I'll say it again. I'll say it. He's better than Kaiser in the ring.
In the ring, it's just I don't know if they're going to use. I don't know how they're going to use him.
Kaiser has the WWE character work. Yeah. I think Kaiser's very good as his character work. I will say this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a contrarian troll. But I always pop myself when I say contrarian now. Yeah. But
we don't like those around here,
Right. But I think Kaiser's kind of like cringe. Like
cringe. Wow.
Like
Bob?
Like not really like in the sense of like just like the whole like character stuff is kind of annoying.
I don't feel strongly about it, so
I don't like hate it, but necessarily, but it's just kind of like okay.
I was just hoping Bob would be mad.
Good. He carries himself well, like he's he's confident on the mic, but like I don't love it all. I prefer Gunther's more like dick smirks, like then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over like Kaiser's like total like 1995 Vince gimmick. Like it doesn't like. He's good in the ring too, but I just think I think Vinci's clearly better in the ring than he is. Mm-hmm. But Kaiser's got the character work down.
To your point though, Chris, he hasn't got a lot of TV standing, right?
Right. So, yeah. He does. He's better in the ring, but he doesn't like. There's nothing so far. And they tried it in NXT, but there's nothing character wise right now where I'm like I give a shit,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Corbin does. He had somewhat of a renaissance down in NXT. I'm a little surprised they didn't put him and Braun Breaker on the same show to kind of not necessarily have to continue that tag team, but to, you know, at least play off that a little bit. So I'm interested to see where Corbin fits into this now after a little bit of a break from main roster TV.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be space for him to have a role there. I think just based on what we discussed, I think he's going to be a heel that one of those top baby faces ends up working with. I think we shall see. All right, folks. They said it couldn't be done. 2 hours. Look at that.
Also, I think Raw, as far as the tag division, I think it's slightly better. Definitely as far as the star power goes, because you do have Awesome Truth. You've got the New Day, who are perpetually over. You have the Judgment Day, whatever you know.
What version?
Yeah. And then, but on SmackDown, it's like, I mean, no offense, Joe, Good Brothers, who are not on TV a whole lot. I like Pretty Deadly as an act, but I don't know how great they are in the ring. And then the Street Profits, who, you know, are always the Street Profits. So
it's not great. I don't think it's necessarily a great time for tag teams at the minute. It feels like we've kind of gone back again in that regard. I don't.
Yeah.
You would think Triple H would like tag teams. You kind of did in NXT, but
I think he just forgot to like them.
Kind of like the women's division. Oh, did I say that out loud?
DIY.
He's gotten better about the women's division the last 6 months. But
remember DIY Oracle?
Unfortunately.
How great was that Good Brothers match on Tuesday where they nearly died a bunch of times?
Oh.
Those two young guns were excited, bro. They were fired up. TV match? Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing on the tag division, to be honest. I know, Bob, you got like an essay, right? Do you want to read it? Or
No, I'm good.
Yeah. How's the washing machine?
It's done. Everything's done. I gotta go bring it upstairs when I'm done here, and I'll be ready to hit the road tomorrow. If we do a recap show, I probably won't be here because I'm not gonna see the show till probably tomorrow night. But yeah,
it would be a choice for you to be on the recap show before you've seen it. That sounds all right, folks.
Real quick, unless you absolutely.
No, you're good.
No, I just. Do we want to maybe kind of, because it's like, honestly, like this Bloodline thing has got me like,
what up?
Yeah. Do we want to kind of like throw some like fantasy booking out there and kind of check in with it every so, you know, when we hop on and do these PLE previews? Like what are the mile markers, so to speak, on this?
It's a great question. I guess the first question there is, do they do Cody Roman free, or is Roman literally coming back as a babyface right away? I guess is the first box. I think you got to.
I think the crowd. I think the crowd is going to make him babyface right away.
Yeah,
I think so.
So,
I originally thought they would do Cody Roman 3 at SummerSlam. Part of me still thinks to do that. I also think they could do Cody solo, and I think that's kind of like a big point. I think Jacob Fatu shows up at some point. The theory of which side he's going to be on interests me greatly.
Yeah.
I don't know how to choose that yet, but I also think Survivor Series is going to be War Games with like Team Rock versus Team Rock.
Mm-hmm. The Usos potentially reuniting is a factor here too. We don't know how long Jimmy's out. But like, if the Usos are going to get back together, it feels like they're going to be alongside Roman, and the old bloodline are going to be the bloodline we like, right? It's going to be what it is.
And my thing with that is, as haphazardly as they split them up, they need to be extra careful.
I agree.
And intentional with how they put them back together.
Yes.
Like they can't just have Jimmy show up one week and be like, "My bad, Oos," and Jimmy be like, and Jay just go yeet, and then they're back together. Like
that sounds like something they would do.
It sounds like something they would do. Old regime would do for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm hoping that with this new regime that they take a little more care, and like, do like Jey had to do when he moved over to the Raw, earning people's trust back. Like Jimmy's got to earn Jay's trust back here.
I think Alex nailed it a couple of weeks back. The big moment is going to be when Jimmy says "yeet," right? That's going to be the big, hilariously. That's going to be the big moment when he finally gives in and says
when Roman says it.
When Roman says it, yeah, that's when the. Okay, we'll do this before we go. So, what is the Bloodline match at SummerSlam? Just kind of again, it's impossible to say with confidence, but what do we think? Is Rock working the SummerSlam or not?
I don't know if Rock will be at SummerSlam. No, because I think his film will just
leads over. Yeah.
So I think Rock will show back up in the fall, leading to probably for the season premiere or whatever, and it could be October, right? When they go to USA.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it will be Roman and the Usos versus Jacob, Solo, and Tama. Maybe.
See,
Bloodline Civil War 2.
So the question is, though, I'm thinking Roman shows up at SummerSlam. I think they do the reverse. If they can get Solo to a point where him versus Cody is a feasible SummerSlam main event, semi-main event, believable. And you can do Cody wins, obviously, but then you do a post-match, where the new Bloodline, starts destroying him. And you do the reverse of when Lesnar came out a few years ago.
Right.
And Roman comes out, and then the new Bloodline kind of stops in their tracks, like, what's going on here? And you don't even have to do any physicality at that point. You just kind of have a face-to-face there, and you go off the air with that, and leave people wondering, like, is Roman aligned with these guys? Is he not? And you let that play out for the next few weeks, and that leads. I don't think they should do the match, the Bloodline Civil War, more than once. I think it should just be War Games, and that's it. Until you can get to a Rock Roman singles match or whatever you want to do.
What do you do at War Games? Because it makes, to me, in this scenario, because I don't know if there's a third that they would bring in unless there's other rumors that we could talk about. But I don't know of anything besides Jacob coming in now, and Tom was already here. So the War Games would make the most sense to me. Would be like Rock, Solo, Tama, and Jacob.
Yep.
Versus Roman, the Usos, and Sami Zayn.
Sammy, yeah.
Yep.
That's Sammy.
Absolutely.
That's perfect for Sammy. He was in the Bloodline War Games before. Yeah. That was where he, proved his loyalty to them.
We threw out Sammy, we threw out Punk, we threw out Braun. I could see Cody, because him and Jey are boys.
Yep.
And he's been
interesting dynamic, Cody and Roman having
he's been, obviously they aren't friends, but he's been very respectful of Roman's reign
and he hates The Rock too, yeah.
Right. So
that actually is probably the money direction, right? Especially because Cody's on SmackDown, it's right in front of you.
Right.
Because the reality is if you're building to a Dwayne The Rock Johnson War Games match, Cody could be wrestling, Hogan. It ain't gonna be it's not going to be as important as that on SmackDown. So you might as well.
I think it's more of an. It's Paul. And I get what Joe's saying earlier about Heyman playing his doing his manipulation game or whatever with the pulling Roman out, and him just kind of playing. And I think there's something about him kind of bringing Jacob to his side, but it makes the most sense if we're going to fantasy book to the Survivor Series here with War Games that Jacob would be just another problem that Heyman has to
I think. What it'll probably be, my guess is Solo and Tama are at some point going to fuck up, and that's when Dwayne will send in the one that scares Solo, the real wild card. Yeah, because the way they present Tama and Solo is these guys are out of control and they need to be policed. Jacob, visually alone will immediately get over, and let alone his work. The idea would be whoever is leading and telling Solo to do this shit has lost, some faith and now wants because
I love Chris's idea of Roman showing up at the end of the show, whether it's SummerSlam or whatever, and him just like, and then like Heyman like having like I could see the cinema. I know it sounds cheesy, but like Heyman like growing like a little smirk on his face, and Roman comes out. And, like,
because I think ultimately, we can, because it's Heyman, it's fun to think about what his ulterior motives is. I think ultimately it's going to be he pulled Roman out to protect Roman's best interests.
Yeah,
because he knows what this road solo is going down with the Bloodline is bad news.
Yeah, and I do think, again, while I threw out there the Jacobs on the babyface side, I think that idea works better if the real danger is still ahead of us. Like Tama's one thing when the big moonsaulting crazy brother comes in.
When they pan to the parking lot, like Nick Aldis, I want you to look at this. There's a car accident.
That was crazy. Yeah, that popped me huge.
That
whole thing popped me.
Then looking way ahead, if Rock Cody is indeed the Mania match, then I think you do Roman solo at Mania.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know what. I don't know. That's an interesting one. We need to figure out. We need to see where Jacob's at by that point, right?
Right.
He may be the match at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but I think that, I mean, maybe at the time they didn't know that Jacob was coming in. I don't think that they casually had Roman say Solo was the next tribal chief a few months back.
I agree. I just think if he is let loose, I think Jacob might blow people's minds. He's
fair.
Now it could be the opposite, where he visually doesn't translate and he doesn't look as big as like he did on MLW, but some of the stuff he can do is like scary. Like yeah. So it would depend how he's used. Be interesting though.
I think he's coming in like if he could, like you said, Joe, if he can legally make it, I would not be surprised if he shows up tomorrow. If not, I would imagine it's here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm very fired up. Bobby, anything on the Bloodline? We go.
No, I mean, other than I think that's the direction for War Games, the one that Oracle pitched. But other than that, I don't know. Because, again, it is about reuniting the Usos, but that's a process. We don't know when Jimmy will be back. You got to get Roman on their side. It's a lot of moving parts to get into place by, War Games in November. So they have time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yes, indeed. All right, Bob, I'll stick with you. Any plugs, any promotions before we wrap, mate?
I don't believe so. Go watch the Terry Gordy Grin Grappler. We're doing Bob Roode this month. That'll be fun. Yes. And Late Night Grin next week. I don't know. Is it just us four doing whatever? Do we have a special?
Late Night Grin next week may be a Grin game night. That is the hope.
That'd be fun.
Maybe.
We don't know who will be on. I won't be able to. Next week's the 1 week I definitely can't do.
Oracle will not be on next week, but there may be a Grin game night. If not, it will just be guys talking about professional wrestling.
I won't be back on the 7th. I probably won't be back onto the pay-per-view previews.
Yeah.
Unless game night gets moved to like the 17th, I might be on. But if it has to be on this week, I can't do it because I'll be on the road Mother's Day, and I'll probably have to work late on Friday. And
I think we're not sure what we're going to do for the pay-per-views yet. If Double or Nothing's card is basically set, we'll go a week early on that one. You just have to, if you miss that one, it happens, right? They do a lot of papes now, but we'll do King of the Ring. We'll probably need to do on the final Friday because that card won't be set.
I might if I'm feeling it. Like I have nothing planned the weekend of the 17th, but I just know I definitely can't do Mother's Day weekend next weekend.
That's fine. All right. Oracle, with that in mind, anything to plug, mate? Anything to go over?
I mean, if Cody and AJ is under 3.5 stars, no. if it's over 3.5 stars, definitely. If it's over 4, we'll probably
we'll probably hop on.
Plug in here.
Yep. Stay tuned at Late Night Grin in that regard, folks. Chris, tell us what's happening. Music and Moonsaults, the podcast, Matt, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Go for it, Matt.
You can follow me on Twitter at IbanezChris. I'll be the only one not talking about the Drake Kendrick Lamar back and forth. And then, musicandmoonsauce.com. This takes you to my YouTube channel. Every Friday, most every Friday, I drop. It's cleverly called Chris and Matt's Wrestling Pod, where myself and my friend Matt Durr talk about wrestling. And this episode that dropped today, as I mentioned, we talked, I gave how I had fixed the WWE draft. We gave some Backlash predictions. We slotted the new rosters based on what title everyone would most likely be challenging for in the foreseeable future. So that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And then we also talked about the NFL draft and specifically the Detroit Lions as well on that. And then tomorrow I drop a new base cover. I'll be doing my base cover of Journey's Separate Ways Worlds Apart. So look out for that tomorrow afternoon.
As for the name of the wrestling podcast, it passes the Chris Hero test, which is, would Chris Hero know what that is? We fouled. We fouled without any comment. We just fouled straight up. So, yeah, Sport Chris. In the description is like there's a little link there for you guys to check it out. So, folks, here's the deal. A lot's going on tonight. It's fucking crazy. When I hit end stream, I have to catch up on a lot of stuff. Clearly, a lot's happened. Some of you have chose to watch this. We appreciate that. If you've done that and you haven't liked the video, that feels like kind of disrespectful at this point. I mean, it's like 6 a.m. here for me. So, like, if you could like the video, that'd be appreciated. If you could subscribe. And also, when I hit end stream, if you could comment below, you could comment anything. You could comment, why does Bob's washing machine keep messing up the shows? You could comment, why did Bob fire a gun in the middle of the show? You could comment, why did Bob fall down in the middle of the show? You could comment, I don't know, man. Anything other than those things, those are all good options, though, right? Like, you comment anything. You be just comment AJ Styles is going to win in 3 minutes or something. I don't know. Anything that feels good, comment something that helps us out. We appreciate you guys. Support Chris. Stay tuned for the review show business. Bob will not be on it because he's not watched the show, and I think that's too far even for Bob. So that's what we have to look forward to. They said we couldn't do 2 hours on Backlash. We did 2:17 because that's what this business is all about. All right, folks. Have a great evening. Keep grinning. All hail. Leave those comments and enjoy this outro. Speak soon.